Hello, and welcome to Intermediate English with Gregg. That's me. So, let's get started. Well, let's warm up with the weather.
Gregg, how's the weather today?
It's becoming warmer. It's becoming warmer. Let's look at the board. Now, this is our usual question, asking, how's the weather today? For today's answer, quite simple, it's becoming warmer. Now, our key is the word becoming, and of course the word warmer. So we are talking about the temperature. So becoming warmer, this is maybe near the end of winter, or maybe the beginning of spring, and the temperature, of course, is starting to increase. So very simple, it's becoming warmer. Right? Now, right, you also have the option of using the word becoming, or you can also use the word getting. It's getting warmer. Right? When people talk about the temperature change, becoming or getting, both are quite common. And of course, not always warmer. Right? Of course, it's maybe the end of fall, right, beginning of winter, and of course it's becoming colder. Right? Now, this is very simple, but often, right, when we use this idea of becoming warm and becoming cold is, of course, okay, but we often use the comparative form, warmer, colder. And the reason is, because we are comparing it. We are comparing it to the temperature before. So, now you do not need to use this, of course, but that is the reason why we often use comparative form. So, it's becoming warmer, it's becoming cooler. So, but of course we are into February. From now, maybe little by little, the temperature will become warmer. So, let's practice today's phrase of warmer. I'll ask the question, and please use today's phrase. So, how's the weather today? Great. Now, for today's lesson. Now, for today's lesson, this is our final lesson in talking about experiences. So we are just going to review and then do a simple conversation. Now the review, maybe from the previous lessons, we talked about things you have done and things you have never done. We talked about asking someone if they have ever done something. In our last lesson we were talking about maybe some common mistakes, that using the word ever, maybe you remember, we do not use the pattern I've ever, but you can use the word ever in the negative case, like I've never ever, for emphasis, or in the question, have you ever, we also do not say when we did something using I have, like I've been to Tokyo yesterday. No, that would just be simple past. I went to Tokyo yesterday. So you do not talk about when you did it with the experience, but you can talk about the number of times. Like I've been to Osaka 3 times. So the number of times you did something you can use. Now, for today, we're just going to do a simple conversation, and the main point of this is just listening. Now, we will use the experience patterns, but at the end of the conversation, we're going to do a true or false quiz. Now maybe you understand this, true or false. True, of course, you understand that, yes, this is real. This is correct. False means no, that is, of course, not true. That is not correct. Okay? So, when we finish the story, I'm going to ask you these 4 questions. Okay? Now, I don't want to read the questions now. Okay? Just listen to the conversation, and then I'll ask these 4 questions. Okay? It's a very short conversation. Okay? So, are you ready to begin? Let's try this. Okay? Hello! Welcome to Yamanaka Inn.
I'd like to check in. My name is Johnson.
Well, Miss Johnson, have you ever stayed with us before?
No, this is my first time.
I see. How many times have you been to Japan?
Twice.
Twice. I see, that's great. Well, tonight's dinner will be shabu shabu.
I've heard of it, but I've never eaten it.
Well, I think you'll like it. And I hope you enjoy your stay with us. That's all. Right? Now, right? I'm going to ask you these 4 questions. Just in your mind, please think, yes, that's true. Or, no, that one was false. Right? The first one said, this is Miss Johnson's first time to Japan. True or false? Miss Johnson has never stayed at Yamanaka Inn. True or false? Miss Johnson has never heard of shabu shabu. True or false? The last one. This will be Miss Johnson's first time to eat sushi. True or false? Now, I don't think this was very difficult, right? So, right? Let's check your answers. This is Miss Johnson's first time to Japan. True or false? Of course, that is actually false. Right? Could you catch the number of times that Miss Johnson has been to Japan? Of course, the answer was, she has been to Japan twice. Miss Johnson has never stayed at Yamanaka Inn. True or false? Oh, I'm sorry. That one is true. She has never stayed. They asked the question, have you ever stayed with us? And her answer was, no, this is my first time. So, this one is actually true. Miss Johnson has never heard of shabu shabu. True or false? The answer was false. They said, tonight's dinner will be shabu shabu. Miss Johnson's reply was, I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I've never eaten it. So, she has never heard of shabu shabu. It is not true. Miss Johnson has never eaten shabu shabu. That is true. So, but this one would be false. The last one, this will be Miss Johnson's first time to eat sushi. True or false? Well, actually, we don't know, but according to the story, according to the conversation, this would be false. One, we never used the word sushi. They were talking about shabu shabu. And point number 2, she has been to Japan twice. So, the first time to eat sushi, perhaps that's not true. But, I think these 4 questions were not so difficult. But our main point was Miss Johnson talked about the number of times she has been to Japan. So when you talk about the number of times, that of course is okay. She has been to Japan twice. She has never stayed at Yamanaka Inn. That was true, of course, talking about things that you have never done. She said, this is my first time. Miss Johnson has never heard of. In a previous lesson, maybe our first lesson of experienced, we talked about the difference of heard of shabu shabu versus heard something something. Heard of is, of course, the name of something. Heard only is the sound of something. So, right? And the last one, this will be Miss Johnson's first time to eat sushi. Okay? Of course, no. Okay? According to the story, we never talked about sushi, okay? But perhaps this is not going to be her first time. So, please remember, when you talk about your experiences, it's not so difficult. Just use I've never, and have you ever. And please avoid the common mistakes. The only hard point to this is to remember that PP pattern, that kakobushi. That's the only difficult part. But that's all for today. See you next time.